meeting up at Delhi Town Center yesterday. I don't want to get into the detail unless you want me to, but I wanted to check on that Delhi Town Center where there's roads that go around. Do y'all enforce ORC code on those, traffic code on those roads?
The only ones they can, because it's a private parking lot, would be like something like a reckless on private, driving under suspension. They can't enforce like a speeding because they can't enforce stop signs unless there is so many residents, but the stop signs have to be at proper height, but it's private property, open to the public.
Okay, so like there's a road between the apartment buildings and the daycare, for example.
Yeah.
Isn't that public property?
It's open to the public, but it's a private property. It's like considered a private lot open to the public.
That wasn't paid for with tax dollars?
Yeah, because the township bought it.
So we own it, the public, it's public property, right?
But under the state of Ohio, being that it's not a public roadway out on the roadway, you can't, there's only certain things you can enforce on the lot when it comes to traffic. They can, like we created our own parking stuff for that, for like regulating parking. We have a resolution, but we can't enforce like, a speeding or, someone crossing a double yellow. Those lines are there for guides to try and help the flow of traffic, to keep trying to reduce, because if they didn't have any lines, people could drive anywhere and you try and help crashes, But to enforce that, you can't. There's only things we can enforce if it's considered like a private lot, like it's like Delhi Park. They had to create their own resolutions for everything in there, for the parking to the driving, driving off pavement.
I thought in Delhi Park, y'all previously told me you could enforce speeding there.
You're right, but there's other things they have done, like if you drove through a field, they keep people, or the bike path, you can't drive in, they made a resolution for that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So they have
right now, what about reckless driving on the Delhi Town Center?
Now there is a thing on a section about reckless on private, like if you drive recklessly.
I'm still stuck on the private because I thought we already agreed that's public property. Can we at least call it quasi-private when we call it private?
Is what I'm explaining is it's open to the public, but it's not recognized by the state of Ohio as being a public roadway. So you can't enforce the ORC. It's like a private lot, but it's because we own it, we can't restrict people. Like it's open to the public. You know what I mean? Like the state of Ohio doesn't recognize it to be a public roadway.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And under the ORC, there's certain things that are considered enforceable on public roadways, and what the state of Ohio calls private. And that's what I'm saying. Like there is a section for reckless operation in the public roadway, but they made a separate section of the ORC for reckless operation on private property.
So I have what I think is a pretty strong case of reckless operation up there that I recorded that includes kids. Not only that, but also because there's apartments there, as well as a park where there's additional traffic, creating additional mitigating risk factors.
You mean a park?
Bye, honey.
Isn't that middle section between the apartments been designated a park in Delhi?
Oh, you mean like that? Okay.
Yeah, so right around there's additional traffic that law, I think, recognizes as this is a more serious thing. I also have some things that, I say his name wrong, it might be Gerdi.
Officer Gerdi, Corporal Gerdi.
Yeah, so I got some complaints coming to you on him. I'd like to articulate it. If you got time now, I can come back if there's a better time related to that call. So,
You say you want to make a complaint, Officer Gerdi?
Yeah.
Can I get a notepad to take my notes?
Yeah, absolutely.
That way, I got your complaint recorded.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. So I find that a little crazy. It's also the way he explained it, it's a little gray area. How do they separate one from the other? How do they separate, what is it that's separating it in the law that you can enforce stop signs and speeding, but you can't enforce something else? My research said they can't enforce traffic law up there, and it's weird that they wouldn't. It's counterintuitive, it's counter safety.
Or do you want to write it down?
I'd rather articulate if I could.
Okay.
But just real quick before we go there, on a reckless driving that I recorded up on the Delhi Town Center allegedly, I know for some things you all won't go after it if you didn't witness it firsthand, but it's my understanding that with the video evidence, if you all took it, that would be enough for you to start an investigation that could lead to enforcement action like a ticket or something else. On that particular one, if I provided the evidence and somebody looked at it, would you all look at it? And if you determined that it was reckless driving, would you pursue law enforcement activity?
It depends on what it is. I mean, we
Okay.
can't go back on the video on reckless type of private. You know, just like I can't go back on the video on speed versus witnessing it firsthand.
I was told on a reckless driving, and on this particular case, also,
Did you see what,
also the other.
Did you? Let me ask you this, because I know Officer Gerdi went up there and talked to you.
Who did?
Corporal Gerdi, not Officer
Okay.
Gerdi. And I know Corporal Larry talked to you last night too. I don't know all the details, and I know Corporal Gerdi said something about getting video from you for a report.
Yep.
Did you send that to him or no? Or is that the same video?
Well,
you're
that's part of the reason I'm up here today is because he set an expectation to me by end of shift I would receive that, and I didn't receive that last night. And you know, there's a little history there where in the past where I said I'd be sent a link to submit evidence, and I wasn't allowed to submit that evidence.
So he didn't send you the link, or you didn't get?
I did not see the link. I'll say that.
Okay. I'll check. He's in today at noon.
Okay,
I'll see
awesome.
him that.
So it's my understanding that you all can enforce those things if you don't witness them. If there's video evidence, you can use it.
Depends on what it is.
You
yes.
can use it to begin an investigation.
Yes.
And then if you go and investigate and say, hey, are the facts in this video true? You don't have to show them the video, you just ask them the relevant questions.
Yeah.
Were you a bus that has a legal obligation to put your stop thing out and put your emergency lights when you're going to pull over and pick up kids? It don't matter if they're crossing the street or not. That's law, and I can.
Right. Anytime they stop kids or even on the roadway, they stop, put the stop bar out as they're loading and unloading.
Well, that's
kids.
the problem. They didn't do that yesterday.
Were they loading and unloading kids?
Loading and unloading not only kids, but they were loading and unloading disabled kids on a bus that has a lift. That makes it more serious. When you have a lift, that makes a different kind of law. It's more serious. And then you have the mitigating factors that's right next to a park where kids play. It's right next to an apartment building. It's heightened traffic. And, but I'm kind of letting the corporal take care of some of that.
I'll double check to make sure he sent. If he didn't or did even, he can resend the link.
Okay.
All right.
Now, it's confusing to me. I wasn't expecting you to say that you don't all enforce traffic law up there. I need to get more clarity on that at some point. You give me some examples, but I don't want to spend too much time on it. I will say that one of my complaints against the corporal is that he parked pretty close to the middle of the road, a 2-lane road, both wheels over the double yellow line. His car was also over top of part of the crosswalk. And he was out of his car, I believe with it running, with no lights on, no emergency lights, no other lights. When I called him out on it, and I told him I needed a little time, he did go back in his car, and then he turned his emergency lights on, and he said something like, "There now." Well, I want to go into detail because I can send you the video, I have all the details in the video. But in essence, I called him out on it, and I said, "Are you breaking the law?" He said, "No, I'm good now." And he turned the lights on. I said a minute ago, were you breaking law? And he said, "That's neither here or there." So he's kind of dodging the question in a suspicious way to me. Later on, I speak with Corporal Gerdi, and he says that's a violation. He says, we do enforce traffic law up here, and that was a violation of policy is how I remember it. He ended up saying it's a policy violation. The other part of that is it didn't seem like Gerdi was really willing to investigate what I was complaining about in detail until I really called him out on it. He was saying things as if he's going to brush it off, saying, "I don't think so." When I'm saying, "Is just you enforce traffic law up here?" "I don't think so." As if that was going to be the final answer. Until I had to push him, and he said, "Yeah, I'll look into it." But on the complaint against me, which everybody except the complaining victim people, except the daycare folks, seemed to agree that I committed no crime up there that day. So for them, it seemed like it was a brush off on the investigation. On me, it sounded like we're maybe going to have an investigator look at it. We're maybe going to send it to the prosecutor's office. And it looks like we're going through extra. And I'm just stating as a concern, maybe it's, not sustained or whatever. I'm just letting you know in the interest of transparency, open communication. And
if they took a report and sent it to the investigation, I have no idea if they would have that, if they did that. I don't know if they did that.
I'll send you a link of the videos, or if he sends me a link, I'll send it in that way.
Is it all the same video, or do you take a separate video?
It's all the same video. It records in segments, so it breaks it into separate files. Sometimes I merge the two files together or something like that. Or I may send you two videos if it's real long.
Well, because what I'm getting at is, he can send you a link, they get the link of you hit video of this bus and that for the traffic part, but then if you hit a separate video of your encounter with Corporal Gerdi, and that's who you're making a complaint, I would send you a link for that.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that deals with his complaint versus the traffic aspect. If he's dealing with the traffic aspect and was going to send you a link, he should, if he didn't already, he can resend it.
Okay.
But then you're saying you had a video of an interaction with Corporal Gerdi, who you're complaining on, I'd send you a link for that.
That sounds good. It is separate videos. Yep.
Okay. And I'll send that to you. And then also, I don't know, I sent you an email about you were requesting the logs, for the NBC logs.
Yes, sir.
From Meyer. The day of that interaction was the 3rd. So, because
I
we weren't sure the date.
emailed you back.
Okay, I didn't see.
I had the date wrong.
Yeah. So I'll work on that. The only person that can get that is it has to be one of our RCIC TAC officers that have that access to RCIC, but they can get it.
You know who that is?
Who does that is Corporal Laverty now, and then they just changed it to Sergeant Cox. It used to be Sergeant Goddard, but they're taking over that RCIC responsibility because the computers are technically owned by like RCIC, all the stuff, because there's the CAD system from Hamilton County's on there, the access to be able to run plates, run people, there's a talk screen where they can talk just one-on-one. Their dispatch comes in there when they get dispatched to the Hamilton County is all on there. So there's like a log that'll be like from the time they logged on and started their shift to the time they ended their shift, there'd be a complete log of everything they did on that computer.
Okay.
And they're the only one, like, it's part of RCIC, they would keep it restricted so not anybody can access it. It has to be like the TAC, or I think the chief can, and maybe Lieutenant Meyer, the only administrators, those 4 people. So I gotta get with them to get that log. And like I said, it'll have everything from his entire shift he did. So if he ran a license plate, that had to be redacted out that person,
Okay.
Because I don't know if it separates like just his talk, like him talking to somebody, or if it's all intertwined where he sends a message to an officer and then he runs a plate and then they send a message back. You'd have to redact that out because you can't have that person's personal information. You know what I mean?
License plate?
Right.
Okay. Just going back to the reckless driving, if the video looks like it shows reckless driving, will you all start an investigation based on the video showing it looks like reckless driving?
You would, should.
And then if that investigation gives you what you need, is it possible that you would do a law enforcement action like a ticket or something like that?
If he can.
Okay.
If there's enough.
I have to research it more, so I'm see what the evidence
Yeah,
is.
good.
I don't want to spend any more of your time.
No,
I just want to say thank you.
All right.
And I may stop back up around 1 or something because I like to keep things moving because I got energy now. Going to the doctor's tomorrow, so that could put me on commission for a little bit. I promise my people I'm gonna get those videos out today because I'm not hiding anything. And I look forward to seeing if he's got that link, and I appreciate you taking time off the ad hoc cuff.
And I'll send you a link for this. I gotta create a report number and I'll send you a link here within the next hour.
Awesome. You doing good otherwise? Everything's good with you?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Busy.
Yeah, I imagine.
I'm doing some of his work because he took a nice vacation.
Felt like a busy day when the top 2 dogs were both corporals. But at least we got some good folks in there. Thank you.
All right.
Have a good day.
All right.
He's always a good guy to me, for the most part. I mean, in terms of, he Lieutenant Rich has a lot of strengths in my mind, and one of them is his interpersonal skills, his ability to control his emotions, his ability to de-escalate, the types of skill sets that are in those realms. He's top notch. That's my opinion, my feelings in those areas. Every now and then I'm going to disagree with him on certain things, but it sounds like maybe we can get, if nothing else, if I'm right, common sense says what the safety is on that, and they need to at least have a talking with them. War on drugs, success or failure, sir? Don't like that question? How about America first or Israel first? That's one of the easiest questions I have. America first or Israel first?
Have a good day.
You too, thank you. God bless America, God bless you, sir.